Lola didn't correct them when they called her a gold digger. Even when her mother-in-law slapped her without her doing anything wrong. Even then, she took everything with a smile and an apology. She sat there calmly, hands folded, listening as her husband's family decided who she was. Not because the lie didn't sting, but because correcting them would have meant revealing a life she had chosen to leave behind. To them, she was just a quiet woman with a modest job and no family. They didn't see the empire hidden behind her silence. And when the truth finally came, it wouldn't come as defense. It would come as reckoning. Because some people mistake silence for weakness, until silence speaks back. Who was Lola before she became invisible? Why would a woman endure quiet humiliation without protest? And what happens when people who judge by appearances finally meet the truth they ignored? This is a story about betrayal, not by strangers but by family. And it's a story about revenge, not driven by anger, but delivered with dignity. Lola hadn't always lived quietly. She was born into a world where money spoke before people did. A surname that carried weight across industries and continents. A family whose influence lived in boardrooms, towers, and foundations. But growing up in that world taught her something painful. People didn't see her. They saw access. Friendships were transactions. Romance was strategy. Every kindness came with a question attached. So Lola walked away. She changed her name, moved cities, chose a small apartment and a modest job. She wanted a life where she could be ordinary and loved for it. That was when she met Daniel, a man who listened more than he spoke, who loved her calm, her intelligence, her quiet humor. He never asked about money, never pushed for answers. And for the first time in her life, Lola felt safe enough to love. Daniel's family noticed her immediately. At first, it was subtle. Questions wrapped in politeness. Looks that lingered too long. "So what do your parents do?" his mother asked one evening. Lola answered simply. They were gone. She had no one left. That was when the air shifted. From that moment on, she became a suspicion. Too quiet, too composed, too carefully private. They started saying it, first in whispers, then aloud. Gold digger. And Lola didn't correct them. She told herself love mattered more than pride. That patience would soften them. But patience, she would learn, can also be misread as permission. And the cruelty didn't stop, it grew bolder. Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Family dinners became performances, backhanded compliments, jokes about living comfortably, remarks about marrying well. Daniel defended her, always. But love can't force people to unlearn prejudice. The breaking point came 6 months into their marriage, at a celebration dinner. An elegant restaurant, crystal glasses, carefully chosen words. Daniel's father raised a toast, praising his son, praising success. Then he smiled at Lola. "And thank you," he said, "for enjoying the benefits of someone else's hard work." Laughter followed. Polite, cruel, expected. Lola sat quietly. She didn't respond. She simply reached for her water glass. Her hands steady, her face calm. But Daniel's mother wasn't finished. She leaned forward, her voice cutting through the laughter. "You know what bothers me most?" she said, looking directly at Lola. "It's the act, the sweetness, the humility, like you're so grateful to be here." Lola set down her glass. "I am grateful," she said softly. "I'm grateful for Daniel, for love." Daniel's mother laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Love," she repeated. "Is that what we're calling it now?" She stood abruptly. Her chair scraped against the floor. "You think we don't see through you? You think my son doesn't deserve better than someone who brings nothing? Who has nothing?" Lola remained seated, her voice still calm. "I'm sorry you feel that way," she said. "I never meant to." But before she could finish, Daniel's mother raised her hand and slapped her across the face. The sound echoed through the restaurant. Heads turned. Conversations stopped. Lola's cheek burned. Her eyes watered from the shock. But she didn't move. She didn't cry out. She simply looked down at her lap, her hands trembling slightly. Then she looked up, and she smiled. A small, sad smile. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Daniel shot to his feet, his face white with rage. "Mom, what the hell?" But his mother wasn't looking at him. She was staring at Lola, at the woman who had just been struck without cause, at the woman who apologized for being hit. And something in that moment unsettled her. Because anger would have made sense. Tears would have made sense. But this quiet acceptance, this grace under cruelty, it didn't fit the narrative she had built. Lola stood slowly, still holding her cheek. "Please excuse me," she said softly. She walked to the restroom. Composed, unhurried, Daniel followed his wife, leaving his family sitting in stunned silence. In the restroom, Lola stood at the sink, pressing a cold paper towel to her face. Daniel entered, his hands shaking. "Lola, I'm so sorry." She turned to him, tears finally falling. Not from pain, but from exhaustion. "I can't keep doing this," she said quietly. "I can't keep apologizing for existing. I can't keep smiling through their hate." Daniel pulled her close. "You don't have to. We're leaving. Right now. And I'm telling them exactly what they are." But Lola pulled back gently. "No," she said. "Not yet. Let me handle this my way." She wiped her tears, reapplied the small amount of makeup she wore, and when she walked back to that table, her face was calm again. Peaceful even. She sat down. The table was silent. Waiting. Watching. Lola looked at Daniel's mother. "I forgive you," she said simply. Daniel's mother blinked. Confused. "What?" "I forgive you," Lola repeated. "I know you're afraid. I know you think I'm taking something from you. And I'm sorry I haven't been able to show you otherwise." The words hung in the air. Unearned. Undeserved. And yet, somehow, they carried more weight than anger ever could. Daniel's father cleared his throat uncomfortably. His sister looked away. Daniel's mother sat frozen, her hand still tingling from the slap. "I'd like to take care of the bill tonight," Lola said, her voice gentle. "Please, let me." She signaled the manager. Spoke a name quietly. A phone call was made. And suddenly everything changed. The manager returned personally, addressed her with deference, used her full name, the name that appeared on buildings, on scholarships, on charitable foundations that had changed countless lives. The family sat in stunned silence as the pieces fell into place. The woman they had mocked, the woman they had struck, the woman who had apologized for being hurt. She was the empire they admired, the legacy they envied, the power they respected, and she had endured their cruelty with nothing but grace. Daniel's mother's face drained of color. Her hands began to shake. I didn't." Lola stood. She looked at each of them. "I never wanted you to know," she said quietly. "I just wanted to be Daniel's wife. I wanted to be enough as I am. But I see now that some people will never allow you to be enough. They'll always need you to be less, so they can feel like more." She took Daniel's hand. "We're leaving now," she said. "And I want you to know I don't hate you. I pity you, because you let fear turn you into someone who would strike a person who never raised a hand to you, who would mock someone who only ever showed you kindness. And that's something you'll have to live with." She touched her cheek where the handprint was still visible. "I hope one day you find peace with what you've done. I truly do." And then she walked out, Daniel beside her. Behind them, the table sat in suffocating silence. No one spoke. No one moved. They simply sat with the weight of what they had done, and the realization that the woman they had tried to break had been stronger than all of them combined. All along, the days that followed were heavy. Apologies came in floods. Texts, calls, letters. Daniel's mother showed up at their apartment, sobbing, begging to be heard. But Lola wasn't ready. "I need time," she told Daniel. What she did, it wasn't just a slap. It was everything. The months of being treated as less than human. And I smiled through it. I apologized for it. And that's on me too. Daniel held her. "None of this is on you. You were trying to make peace. Trying to be kind. And kindness," Lola said softly, "shouldn't come at the cost of your dignity." She set boundaries. Clear ones. She would not see Daniel's mother until a real apology came. Not a tearful, desperate plea for forgiveness, but a genuine acknowledgement of harm done. And a commitment to change. Weeks passed. Then a letter arrived. Handwritten. Pages long. In it, Daniel's mother wrote the truth. About her fear of losing her son. Her fear of becoming irrelevant. Her jealousy of the quiet strength Lola possessed. And most painfully, her shame at what she had become. A woman who struck someone innocent. A woman who demanded apologies from her victim. Lola read it 3 times. Then she called. "I appreciate your honesty," she said. "But honesty without action means nothing. If you want to rebuild this, you have to show me. Through time. Through respect. Through treating me like a human being." "I will," Daniel's mother promised. "However long it takes." And slowly, carefully, something began to shift. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But possibility. Months later, at a small family gathering, Daniel's mother approached Lola. Nervous. Genuine. "I don't deserve your grace," she said, "but I'm grateful for it. And I'm sorry. For all of it." Lola looked at her, really looked, and saw a woman who had been humbled, changed, trying. "I know," Lola said. And this time, when she smiled, it wasn't to survive. It was because she chose to. Because peace, she had learned, was the greatest luxury of all. And she would never again sacrifice it for anyone's comfort but her own. How often do we apologize for things that aren't our fault? How often do we smile through pain to keep the peace? And when someone strikes you without cause, what does it say about them? What does it say about you if you still choose kindness? What would you have done if you were Lola? Would you have walked away immediately? Would you have fought back? Or would you have done exactly what she did, endured until the truth spoke for itself? And if you were Daniel's family, how would you live with the knowledge that you struck someone who never once deserved it? If this story moved you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Grace is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is refuse to become cruel in response to cruelty. If you think this story stayed with you, the next one will go even deeper.